Well, welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Police rescue Lebanese abducted in Kano, ending 5 days in captivity. Yoruba State Electoral Commission set to conduct council election in 17 local government areas tomorrow, despite prevailing state of emergency. Our 2013 review of the various sectors tonight focuses on security. And the government of South Sudan and rebel forces agreed to end fighting after a truce meeting in Nairobi, Kenya. But all our top stories can be found on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. To get us on the move, visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. Now interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. If you have a picture or video to share with us, tap on the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions to share your report, pictures, and videos. Well, we now hand you over to our Abuja studios for more than News at 10. I hope you had a fabulous Christmas, Gloria.
Well, certainly so, Sulai. Thanks for joining us in Abuja. Now to our end of the year review of the various aspects of the nation's national development. And we begin tonight with security, which many agree forms a critical aspect of the challenges facing the present administration. From the emergency situation in the northeast to kidnapping in the south-south area, and then the issues of crude oil theft, among others, the nation has had a fair share of security challenges in 2013. According to the United Nations statistics, 1,200 lives have been lost to insurgency this year alone. But analysts say there is a lot of improvement given the key role played by the federal government in bringing the situation under control. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafor, in this next report, gives an overview of the security situation in the country.
The federal government since 2009 has been criticized for not doing enough to tackle the insecurity in the country. However, the killing of more than 100 people in Bama and Baga area of Borno State spurred the government to action, and on the 14th of May 2013, President Goodluck Jonathan declared a state of emergency in Adama, Borno and Yobe states, and also prescribed the Boko Haram sect as a terrorist group.
Of the power conferred on me by the provisions of Section 305, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I hereby declare a state of emergency in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. Accordingly, the Chief of Defense Staff has been directed to immediately deploy more troops to these states for more effective internal security operations.
This led to several military actions in the affected areas, and one of its success stories was the capture of Sambisa Forest, the stronghold of the insurgents. This followed the reported killing of the Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau.
It's holistic to involve all the security agencies. That is why there is combing. All the forests are being combed at the moment.
Even with the state of emergency, the federal government continued to extend a hand of friendship to the insurgents, but not much was achieved. Presenting a report of its activities to the president, the Committee on Dialogue and Peace admitted that the leadership of the militants refused the hands of friendship.
Found and followed many means and or contacts who generated momentum towards productive dialogue with genuine insurgents. A process that was initially difficult to develop owing to a number of quite understandable reasons. These include failures of past attempts at negotiations and resultant distrust by insurgents and the refusal of their leaders to submit to dialogue.
While bombings and suicide attacks were minimized, soft and vulnerable targets became the modus operandi of the insurgents as the sects attacked schools and military facilities in the northeastern part of the country. The military, however, says it is on top of the situation, but appeal for the cooperation of local communities to be able to stop the attack.
The war against terror or insurgency, counter-insurgency operation requires the entire effort of both populace and government. So if the local populace will be able to provide good enough information to the military, be rest assured they can come after those.
However, one incident Nigerians are still grappling to understand is the killing of 8 suspected members of Boko Haram sect in an uncompleted building in the Apo area of the Federal Capital Territory. A combined team of operatives from the Department of State Services and the military carried out the attack. However, survivors of the incident say they are squatters who pay 200 per night for sleeping space within the building.
On the confession of these 2 gentlemen that a team went to the Akpo cemetery. On getting to the Akpo cemetery, the 2 gentlemen were unable to precisely identify where the weapons were buried. It was at that point he now confessed that if their leader was arrested, one Mr. Suleiman, who now resides in one uncompleted building within the same vicinity, that he, Suleiman, could identify the actual spot, because the intention was to carry out terrorist attack between that 20th and 22nd of September. It was on this premise that the team moved cautiously to the uncompleted building.
If there is a Boko Haram members within particular area, they know how to do it. You understand? I don't think because of 2 or 3 Boko Haram members should go and kill, you understand, about 10 or 9 people. It's not done that way.
On a brighter side, the federal government secured some convictions of terrorism-related offences, including that of a foreigner, Mr. Ahmed Talaroda, who was found guilty of conspiracy to import prohibited firearms. Other convicts include Mustafa Umar, who was found guilty for ramming his vehicle into the SOJ Plaza in Kaduna State, which was housing several media houses. Shuaibu Abubakar, Salihu Ahmed, Umar Babagana Umar, and Muhammad Ali all bagged life sentences for causing the death of at least 16 persons at the INEC office in Madala, Niger State. Kabir Sokoto was also sentenced to life imprisonment for his involvement in the 2011 Christmas Day bombing of a Catholic church, also in Madala, Niger State. Insurgency, however, is not the only security challenge the country had to deal with. Child trafficking in the eastern part of Nigeria and kidnapping continued relentlessly. While some of the kidnapped victims did not make it out of their captors' den alive, some prominent Nigerians, such as the mother of the Minister of Finance, Professor Kainene Okonjo, former president of the Christian Association of Nigeria and primate of Anglican Church, Most Reverend Peter Akinola, and human rights lawyer Mike Zokome.
I want the federal government to immediately, as urgent as yesterday, grant amnesty to all kidnappers and institute an amnesty program for them to come out of the jungles.
The security agencies also made a major headway in its fight against kidnapping following the arrest and arraignment of alleged kidnapping kingpin Kevin Ezegbe and 2 other members of his gang. The suspects are awaiting trial in the custody of the Department of State Services. Moving forward, some security experts suggest how the federal government can build on some of the successes achieved within the year.
The formation of a new division is a step in the right direction, but we need a rapid response tactical military force that is purely airborne, and we need the international diplomatic aspect of it so that Cameroon, Chad and Niger will continue to support our efforts in what we're doing. The issue of kidnapping and baby factory are purely socio-economic problems, which I think the government can change by creating more jobs.
Opinions are divided as to how the federal government has fared in the protection of lives and properties. Nigerians hope that the security challenges confronting the nation will soon become a thing of the past. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
And to review the nation's security in 2013, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by Professor of Criminology, Professor Femi Odekunle. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, we have seen that report where the Northeast is facing challenges. The South is bedeviled with the business of course, kidnapping, Southeast, Southwest, of robbery. Professor, what is your assessment of the situation in the country?
Well, I will start holistically by saying that if you want to look at the security situation of any country, you put it on a continuum from security to insecurity. You will say a place like Syria is tending towards total insecurity, and a place like Sweden and Botswana are fairly secure. Nigeria in the last 1 year is somewhere in between. And when you want to look at it, you look at it on two levels. The level of operations, responding to the immediate situation that you are confronted with, and in terms of policy and strategy, in terms of the medium and long term. Now, how do I look at 2013? Looking at it comprehensively in terms of the efforts and activities of the State Security Service, the military, the police, the road safety, because that's part of security, civil defense, custom immigration, I would say that the performance has been fair. In the sense that federal government has been able to, these security forces, they have been able to coordinate off the Northeast. In a way, you could say they have contained them around that place and reduced the situation from infesting Northwest, South-South, Southwest, or even North Central. Then you could see that the police and the related forces appear now, unlike before, to be giving attention to the incidents of kidnapping and armed robbery. In previous times, you could see that they were lackadaisical, but they are now at least getting people released and catching the armed robbers. Then there is attention to the prevention of traffic accidents by the road safety through their campaign and through their presence on the roads. And then there is reduction in intercommunal, religious, ethnic violence that was bedeviling the country. Now, that does not mean that we still do not have serious problems. You still have the common crimes, theft, burglary, which ordinary Nigerians suffer from, but which we cannot quantify. Why? Because the police are too busy patrolling and doing road checks and serving as megad, sort of, as I always say, to public and government officials. So they have no time for those common crimes that used to occupy them. Secondly, you have the problem of oil theft and corruption cases, which is why when I was mentioning the security forces, I purposely ignored mentioning ICPC or EFCC, because in the past 1 year they have been very, very unimpressive, and yet corruption is a serious security issue in this country. Then thirdly, you could find out that our leaders have encouraged occasions of security threats, like what's happening in Rivers State. So if you look at the situation, you say yes, we could say we are moderately or fairly doing well, but the basic problem is that of governance, that of policy. Because if you respond today, what happens 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? So I would like to emphasize that this year I've not seen any efforts at addressing the root causes of the situation. Now, people will tell you that they can dissociate our insecurity situation from poverty, underdevelopment, youth unemployment, bad, irresponsible governance. I don't think so. Anybody who says that, either they lack the knowledge of the indisputable relationship between development and security, or in the academics, it means they are intellectually fraudulent. because there is no way you could have a secure society if you don't have proper development. Development meaning, don't confuse with growth. When you are talking about growth, you are talking about what IMF and Madam Okojo-Iweala will talk about, investor rate, GDP, inflation rate, and like we are talking. When we talk about development, we are talking about what the average Nigerian feels socioeconomically in terms of their existence, and this has not improved in the past 1 year. And I don't see government policies, regardless of how many airports you build, how many new roads you build, or whatever. I don't see the effect on the average citizen, and that is why in terms of policy and strategy the government has not done well.
All right, let's look at more specific areas, beginning with the Northeast. Do you think the state of emergency was the best option for the government?
Definitely yes. The government could not have done otherwise. There was challenge to the sovereignty of the country, there was challenge to the authority of the state, and only an irresponsible government would not have responded the way the government responded. Definitely yes. And in fact,
is it working out well in your opinion?
It's working out well. After all, we are still existing as a nation. After all, Northeast has not been cut off from Nigeria. After all, they have not been able to spread to the southwest or to the southeast or to the south-south or even to the north-central. So definitely I think it's working fairly well. That does not mean there are no human rights violations. That does not mean there are still no incidences of Burma or the like. But definitely it's working. Remember, the problem didn't start in 1 day. So definitely 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, even 1 year is not too long a time for the thing to be brought under control.
All right, let's look at the issue of state policing. Some have called for the establishment of that, and of course a special anti-terrorism military outfit. What is really your take on this?
That is a good question, because it's a matter in which I've been involved, definitely in my classroom and definitely even on channels. Before, I was against state police because of the irresponsible political class that we have in place, and we do not want a situation whereby one state will fight another, or one state will start confronting the federal government, or federal government forces will be controlling state police. But recently I find it difficult to maintain that position because of the usage of the police in certain parts, particularly in Rivers State, and therefore there was a kind of justification. But I will not say because of that just go overboard. So the solution is simple, and I advocated this a long time ago. One, in the appointment of the Inspector General of Police, try to make it like a conclave, like choosing a pope. Let all commissioners and AIGs vote and recommend 3 of their own to the president, and the president will take that one to the Council of State.
All right,
that will allow for that kind of independence, and every state commissioner should be with the concurrence of the governor. And finally, it is important that inspectors downwards should be indigenous of that state and be responsible to the commissioner.
But then we have to wrap it up here. Thank you for joining us, Professor Femi Odekunle.
My pleasure.
And that's it from the nation's capital. Thank you for joining us. Over to you now, Sulaiman.
Well, many thanks, Gloria. When the News at 10 returns, work resumes after the Christmas holiday. Join us again.